A new online film released today explores how the Five Eyes global spying network is eroding our personal privacy.
Think that you have anything to hide. Although I would push you on that a little bit. Would you really take a PDF of your email correspondence for the last month, of your phone bill and your Google search history, and put that online for everybody in the world to see?
I Spy with My Five Eyes is about the tensions between governments, intelligence agencies and individuals as data collection grows. The film is produced by Carthew Neal of Tickled and Hunt for the Wilder People fame and directed by Kiwi director Justin Pemberton of Chasing Great and The Nebula Comeback. Justin joined me in the studio earlier this afternoon and I asked him how the concept for the documentary came about.
Going back for years, from the time that I think Foodtown introduced, loyalty cards, I became suspicious about, are we being tracked? What's going on? So I've always had this interest in how we can be digitally monitored and who owns it and what it means and what can be inferred about us. So going back many years, I'd sort of been trying to get something up about surveillance and, it hasn't been the easiest topic to pursue. I think it's about 10 years ago that I started looking into it. But after the Snowden revelations, it became a bit easier and people were more interested and there was a lot more to go on, a lot more to tell. And when I heard that there was a digital media fund that New Zealand Air was doing with Canada, I thought, this Five Eyes thing is perfect because they're part of it.
And for making the film, you talked to Nikki Hager, the investigative journalist here. You talked to a cybersecurity expert, a whistleblower, a former anonymous hacker. Why did you decide to go to these different people?
Well, we talked to the former head of the CIA and NSA as well. So we did want to get different sides of the story. So the interactive film is sort of broken into what we're calling chapters, 5 chapters, which is like 5 little mini films, and each tackles the idea of surveillance, government surveillance, from a slightly different angle. So either cyber warfare or privacy or the future or looking at behind the actual alliance and how it works, and of course terrorism. So we had to cast a wide range of people and ideas, and the thing was, it's not so much an investigation as what we think of as a thought piece. So it's sort of looking beyond the Snowden revelations about what actually happens to what does this actually mean? How's this going to change the way we live?
What does it mean? What does it mean? I mean, you're quoting an expert who says it's not the spy agencies like GCHQ that we should be worried about. It's the airlines, the banks, the supermarkets. They're the ones who are doing the spying.
Yes, and all the government agencies need to do is tap into their networks, which they are also doing. So, yeah, there is sort of, by proxy, private industry. Google is, of course, the big one. I mean, they just know everything that's going on in the world. And I think that one of the things is, with information comes power. And the idea of a free market, if you think that in terms of economics we have a free market, well, free markets assume perfect information, where everybody is operating with the same level of information, and this throws that way out the door. One of the same guy that said that is talking about how supermarkets are going to be able to predict elections with almost 100% accuracy in the near future.
How will they do
Because
that?
what we buy reflects our voting habits, apparently, as they've found out. So if you're buying organic apples, or you're buying the budget tinned tomatoes, or you're buying moe, or you're buying a particular shampoo, or it sort of says a lot about you. And already in the UK, there is data that is predicting it. I think he said with it's 86% accuracy, but could be a little bit either side of that.
And are they selling that information on?
Yes, information. Yeah, so this is the other thing that I learned that was kind of interesting is data mining, data trading is a huge untapped industry. I mean, that's kind of like the next wave. If you have the data, you can sell it, and that's why we get offered things like Gmail for free, or an Android phone with a free operating system loaded in, which is just given to Samsung by Google. Because there's data that's been collected.
But can't you? I thought you could tick a box each time which says my information is not to be shared. That's not true?
Well, certain information you can't stop being shared. Your digital communication is traced. I mean, it just is. If I call you, that metadata, as it's called at the moment, is recorded. Who called who, from what number, at what time, and what location, and what cell sites you're at. That's collected and shared.
And these different people that you talk to, what did they reveal that really stunned you when you were putting this together?
It was more how eloquently they put it together that surprised me. So the thing about the supermarkets being able to predict elections, the fact that in the near future your handbag will be collecting data, as will your shoes, if the Internet of Things. I'd heard about it, I knew about it, but the way that they took it to the next level, they took it beyond what it means this year or next year and said, in 10 years, 20 years, this is where this will be.
Did you worry when you were going to these different people, because, a whistleblower, a former anonymous hacker, that you were being spied on yourself?
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you, I had a very surreal experience in a hotel in London where I was sitting writing an email. It was to someone that we were going to be filming with. And I was just sitting on my bed and I was just thinking about something I'd written, just reading it back. And then suddenly it started to delete. I wasn't even touching the computer. And, of course, sometimes computers do funny things or So I tried definitely not to be paranoid about it, but I did think this is really weird. It was the day we'd just been interviewing Privacy International in London, and they are at the forefront of the privacy debate and quite active politically. So, and he said to me, "Oh, of course, you'll be on the radar." But then I talked to Nicky Hager, and he feels that no, that's kind of overplayed. People aren't being watched at that level, and he was also quite interesting because he really thought that we needed to stress that we aren't being watched to that level where every single person is being watched by someone.
Why did you decide to make an online film? Why not for television or for the cinema?
So the whole idea of this, it's as much content, in fact more content that you would get than you would get in a 1 hour commercial documentary, because it's just under 70 minutes if you watch everything. But the idea is you can choose where you what part of the story you want to go in on, which of the 5 chapters, which is not too dissimilar to 5 parts in a commercial hour. But it's completely commercial free, which I love. It's got no advertising anywhere on the site. And as you watch the documentary, it has these little moments called dig deepers. Now, as a commercial program maker, you are always having to lose content that you love because it has to fit in the 44-minute commercial hour. And this is this idea that if somebody wants to watch a bit more or if, for example, the supermarket and the elections idea, there is a dig deeper there. If you want to know how they do it or a bit more about that, you click that and it plays an extended scene of that idea. So, I think that's quite exciting because we all arrive to sit down to watch something with different amounts of time, different amounts of interest, and so it allows it to be completely tailored.
Film director Justin Pemberton.